Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage Jim Doherty.
Good morning. We on? Hey, good morning, everybody. Slides. Okay, so welcome to day 2 of Percona Live. We've got another great day of content, a really good morning of keynotes, a whole bunch of tutorials, breakout sessions. We want to start out again thanking our sponsors. This has been a great show. It is official. Yesterday, about midday at registration, we broke the record from set last year for attendance. So this is the most attendees we've ever had, I think, for like the 4th year in a row. So it's growing every year. And we want to thank our sponsors one more time. Oh yeah, I control the slides. So just so you know it's legit, we'll have the Apple II sitting in the Percona booth. It's our grand prize giveaway. We have proof that it was signed by its creator. I think the value might have gone up just a little bit with that little Sharpie scribble on the thing. So again, make sure you're doing the passport, you're going to all the booths, you're getting signed. That's one of many great giveaways we have that we'll do on Thursday. A couple of housekeeping notes before we get to the content. So we've got the community networking reception tonight at 5:30. We've got the Percona Community Appreciation Game Night. Following that, it should be a lot of fun. It's not to miss. It's going to be in here. We'll open up the expo halls. It'll be a lot of fun, so do plan to be there. And don't forget, we probably didn't do as good a job as we should have in the morning on this, but we've got a demo theater in the expo hall. We've got a schedule lined up. It's just another set of breakouts and content. We'll announce those on the PA, but when the expo hall opens, go take a look at that. There's some really, really good content. We didn't have enough for all the breakout sessions and all the tutorials, so we put some in the demo theater, and it's really good content. So do take a look. Keep your ear open for the announcements. Oh, wrong slide. I blew it. Paul, we were going to surprise everybody later with that, but there's some special stuff coming for Mr. Blazek later in the morning. But before we get to that, let me introduce our first speaker. It's Steaphan Greene. He's with Facebook. He's the lead for the MySQL engineering team. He's a lifelong free software advocate and contributor. Steaphan currently spends most of his time making MySQL faster, more reliable, and more efficient for Facebook's highly available WebScale deployment. Prior to Facebook, he spent many years as a lecturer of computer science at Binghamton University. So please give a warm welcome to Steaphan Greene.
Morning, everybody. So, hope everybody's had a good conference so far. I apologize for the 9 a.m. thing. I assure you that was not my idea. So eventually I should have some slides. Maybe. There we go. Okay. So WebScale SQL, or WebScale SQL, both pronunciations are correct, is a project that demonstrates the power of collaboration. So to begin at the beginning, what is WebScale SQL? WebScale SQL is a collaboration between 5 companies. All of us have operations. We use MySQL at scale. We have our own branches that we maintain with our own features, and we have engineering teams that maintain and work on those branches. We've, for many, many years, actually shared MySQL code, collaborated on individual features, and worked together on all sorts of things on sort of an ad hoc basis. A little over a year ago, we decided that we can do this a bit better. We can actually create something that gives us a more structured approach to share more and more. So we created WebScale SQL to do just that. It gives us some basic infrastructure to review changes between our different groups, to combine different changes that are essentially the same or similar, to get the best of all 5 worlds on a lot of things we have in common, to reduce a lot of the duplicated effort that we were doing. And it also allows us to do this all in public. And of course, we actually use a branch of upstream MySQL as our primary repository, and we put things in there that all 5 of us can actually use, also visible and usable to the wider community. Okay? Basically, the point of it is to make this collaboration even more efficient and even more valuable to us and to others. So we don't just work with the 5 of us. Right? We've got very close relationships with most of the community, in fact, all of it, really. Right? We work really closely with MariaDB, with Oracle's MySQL team, with Percona. We even have a number of contributions from just individuals out in the community. And this is just continuing to grow and get better and better. Okay, what are we doing now? Right now, our branch is based on upstream MySQL 5.6.24. That's the latest 5.6 release. We've been keeping up pretty well. And this is certainly the right choice. It's the best stable version of MySQL that we can use. And Oracle has done, frankly, a fantastic job maintaining and adding features to MySQL. And we certainly want to leverage all the work that they've done and continue to do that. Now, we have pushed a number of our fixes upstream into even 5.6 at this point. So in fact, if you're using a recent version of MySQL 5.6, you're actually already using things and taking advantage of some things that came from WebScaleSQL. So you're welcome. We do have a lot more, however, that isn't in upstream MySQL 5.6. Okay? For example, we have a number of different performance boosts, some improvements to the buffer pool. We have some things to remove some overhead that's not necessary, or at least we don't think is necessary at scale. Optimization for specific queries, and there's a number more things than this. But it combines efforts from Alibaba, Facebook, Google, Twitter, and others. We have a number of changes to make operating at large scale easier. We have the ability to statically link replication plugins. You don't have to keep loading them whenever, everywhere, since we all basically want to use those plugins. We have a super read-only feature. And these are all things from Facebook, Google, and Twitter combined together. We also have a whole lot of bug fixes from basically everyone. And it's not a typo that we actually have features or bug fixes from Oracle's MySQL team in the Oracle MySQL branch that isn't in Oracle MySQL. Because we will actually backport some fixes for 5.7 that aren't considered quite ready for 5.6 yet. We'll also backport or include features that are fixes that are in bug reports that aren't actually published in 5.6. So we do frequently have actual changes from Oracle MySQL on Oracle MySQL that aren't in Oracle MySQL, if that made sense. We also have a number of build and test improvements because all of us have engineering teams. We all work on the code. And we add a number of things that make it easier to actually work on the code base, making tests more stable, things like that. And these come from pretty much all of the different groups involved. Okay. Now, if you've been paying attention to WebScaleSQL, nothing I just said was really news. Right? So what is new? One of the things is our asynchronous MySQL client. Okay? This essentially allows modern asynchronous programming in MySQL. This enables things to work at scales like, say, Facebook. Right? You really basically need to be able to leverage this. This is essentially Facebook's version of the asynchronous MySQL client, but it was improved by LinkedIn when we moved it into WebScaleSQL. Okay? And in addition to being used by Facebook, obviously, it's also fully supported by the latest release of HHVM, which is used a lot of places. So this is pretty widely valuable. Right? An example of a smaller change is, it turns out the InterDB buffer pool, which uses most of your memory if you're running MySQL on InterDB, probably, wastes a lot of memory on metadata. And there's actually a pretty simple change to make it not waste all that memory. So in a common case, you can actually get back as much as a gig, even more, memory that's wasted by your buffer pool, which you can add back to your buffer pool with basically no additional cost. This is an example of a pretty small change that makes a pretty big difference. So if you do have an engineering team out there, you're not already using WebScaleSQL, and you haven't taken a look at this feature, that's a good one. You should look at that. This was actually originally written by Facebook, but was improved by Google when we put it into WebScaleSQL. A reduced double write buffer mode is something we added. At scale, it turns out that you don't really need the full support of the buffer pool, and the buffer pool more than doubles your total write rate. So we have a reduced mode that essentially removes that overhead, so you can cut your writes in production by more than half and still get the full value, preventing problems with torn pages on crash recovery that you get with the full double write buffer. This was originally written by Facebook, and then Google and Twitter improved it. Okay? So another thing is a set of server-side query management features. Examples are query throttling, server-side statement timeouts, also server-level thread pooling, which technically isn't in yet. It's on the way in. But they're basically all there. And this is actually code from MariaDB, Percona, and Twitter. So another one is logical read-ahead. You can basically make InterDB full table scans 10x as fast. Why is that important? For most of us, that's backups. You can make your backup 10 times as fast in certain circumstances, or up to 10 times as fast. Okay? This is mostly in WebScaleSQL already. There are a few final pieces still to come in, but it's basically already there. This was originally written by Facebook and then was improved by Twitter. So what's coming? Online InterDB defragmentation. If you were at Wrong's talk yesterday, you know all about this. This is ready to be put into WebScaleSQL. It was written by Facebook. And Alibaba wants to look at it and improve it on its way into WebScaleSQL. That should be pretty cool. DocStore. You hopefully heard about that yesterday as well at a different talk. It essentially supports efficient querying and storage of JSON data within MySQL. Okay. This was written by Facebook and actually originally designed collaborating between Facebook and Oracle's MySQL team. Right. MySQL and RocksDB, you've heard a lot about. There's a talk today, there was some stuff yesterday, there was some stuff in a keynote. This is a pretty big deal. We expect it may reduce our required storage space in certain circumstances by half, which is huge, obviously. It's within MySQL, so we get all the features of MySQL, like replication and things that we learned to count on. And there'll be more details of it in another talk later today, I believe. And this was actually written in partnership between MariaDB and Facebook. So what are we doing next? Right, this is what's going on now, but what's the plan for next? Well, WebScaleSQL will be skipping MySQL 5.7. Our original plan was that was our next base, but it turns out we will likely not get any of our major changes into upstream MySQL in time for MySQL 5.7 to be stabilized. So 5.7 won't include any of our major changes. What that means is if we were to move to 5.7, we would then have to port everything from 5.6 to 5.7, and then eventually in the future when we move to 5.8, we would have to port them again. And that's not worth the additional cost. There are some fantastic features in 5.7, don't get me wrong, and we're not going to ignore those. In fact, what we're going to do for the moment is backport those into our 5.6 branch. One of them that's already underway is the dynamically resizable buffer pool, which we think is pretty cool. But right now, we're going to stay on 5.6, backporting the interesting changes in until it's clear what our next base is actually going to be. So what is the next base? We are really hoping it's going to be MySQL 5.8. That is what we hope. But as of now, we still can't push major changes upstream. If we still can't push major changes upstream as 5.8 is starting to be stabilized, then we won't be able to use 5.8 either. So it's possible 5.8 might not be an option. Right now, all we can push are minor changes. So why only minor changes? In order to push large changes up, there's a lot that has to be done. Right? We need to have a lot of things set up, a lot of things working. And trying to solve all this was one of the points of WebScaleSQL and even the earlier collaborations. Basically, we need 4 things. We need open and clear communications with the upstream MySQL team. Okay? We need alignment of goals between us and the upstream MySQL team. We need tight coordination between the engineers of those teams. And we're talking about a bunch of big companies, so we also need the lawyers to agree, which means we need a compatible contributor license agreement. Now, if you've been around the community a while, you know that all of these have been problems in the past. So let's go over where we are now. So open and clear communications with MySQL, this is not a problem. This hasn't been a problem in quite some time. We can easily get in touch with them. They listen to things that we're talking about. They listen to their community. Right? The Oracle MySQL team reaches out to us and asks us questions all the time. This is completely open and isn't really a problem. And the reason it's not a problem is because of this community. And one of the big reasons this community is doing so well is conferences just like this one. In fact, specifically this conference. There's a reason WebScaleSQL announced itself last year at this conference. Right? It's certainly accurate to say that this conference more than anything else, is what created WebScale SQL. And I really want to thank Percona for continuing to hold this every year and continuing to support the community as well as they do. I'd take a moment to give applause to them, please. The value of this cannot be underestimated. It's been fantastic. And this is just not a problem. This is solved. So alignment of goals with the upstream MySQL team. OK, there may be occasional exceptions, but this really isn't the problem either. You may have read perhaps a blog post recently by a certain person who works at Facebook. Yes, so there's occasionally things that aren't quite in line. But in general, we're really interested in what the upstream MySQL team is doing. And the upstream MySQL team is really interested in what we're doing. They're really paying attention to what's happening in the community and what the community is asking for. And we're really paying close attention to what they're doing, and they're freely letting us know and giving it. This is great. This is not a problem. This is solved. We also need tight coordination with the upstream MySQL engineers. Right? This is pretty complicated, but we've actually been working pretty well with them for years. It's been getting better and better. It goes all the way back. The earlier example is the version of compression in InnoDB in MySQL 5.6 was actually the result of a collaboration between Oracle and Facebook. Okay. We're still working closely with them. As I just mentioned, they helped us with the initial designs and such of DocStore. Right? This is fine. Not only that, but in the past year, upstream Oracle, the Oracle MySQL team actually moved their publishing to GitHub, finally. So we all actually use the same tools. It's easy to transfer code back and forth. There's no complications of using Launchpad or Bazaar, if anybody, anyway. And I definitely want to call Oracle out to thank them for doing that, please, because that was a huge win. So as a result, this is not a problem. So, right, the lawyers. So we haven't solved this one yet. So the good news is, this is all we haven't solved. Everything else is great. We're really close. We just have to find a compatible contributor license agreement that everyone can agree to so we can share this code. That's really the only thing. We're almost there. Almost there. We've been trying. As I mentioned in the slide, there's been a great effort from all sides, certainly including Oracle's side. We've all been working on this, but have not succeeded. But I'm not just here to give bad news. We have a suggestion. The Apache CLA. Okay? The Apache CLA, first of all, just to clear it up, there are actually two flavors of the Apache CLA. There's the individual CLA and the corporate CLA. They're versions of the same CLA. If you're an individual, you use the individual. If you're a corporation, you use corporate. You don't quite have to be a lawyer to understand that one. That's pretty obvious. But this CLA is already very widely used. Right? It includes defensive patent termination. Trust me, that's important. It is. And it's used by countless other projects. And by countless, I mean, I actually tried to count. And if you've ever tried that with a Google search or something, you can't. There's a lot. Right? This is a very large number. This is incredibly widely used. It's widely accepted, used by plenty of projects, and it's widely trusted. Okay? It's compatible with the upstream dual license. We believe this should solve the problem if everyone can use this CLA. We believe strongly enough in this, and we want this to happen so much, that we actually have an offer. As of right now, all WebScale SQL members, all 5 of us, hereby agree all of our public MySQL changes, Oracle can have them right now under the Apache CLA with no other strings. All of our code, all of Alibaba's public code, all of Facebook's public code, all of Google's public code, all of LinkedIn's public code, all of Twitter's public code can go into MySQL right now. All we need Oracle to do is accept this CLA. Now that's a pretty big deal, but WebScale SQL has been going on for over a year now, and it may not be all that surprising that all 5 of us can agree on something like this and say something like this and put something this together, as nice as it is. So we decided to go one better, and we talked to our partners. MariaDB, that's both the foundation and the company, and Percona have both also agreed that all of their changes can go into Oracle's MySQL right now under the Apache CLA with no other strings. That's all of MariaDB's public changes, all of Percona's public changes. And if you've been keeping score, or if you haven't been keeping score, that actually covers pretty much everything I've mentioned so far. That covers just about everything in WebScaleSQL, everything that's on its way in WebScaleSQL, and everything that's planned to go into WebScaleSQL. It also includes a lot more than that. Right? Obviously, all of MariaDB's fantastic features, all of Percona's excellent work. Right now, if Oracle accepts this under the CLA, you can have all of it. If you're not one of these 7, what could you do? The best thing you can do is keep asking for this stuff. Keep asking for these features. Ask them, why does your buffer pool use extra memory? Right? Things like that. Ask for these features. Ask again and again. Ask publicly. Right? Do blog posts. Use one of those newfangled social network things that tend to use MySQL. Right? Keep up, make it clear that we want to solve this problem. We as a community want to all work together. We want to collaborate. We want everybody on the same code base. Right? If you have features of your own, please follow our example. Publicly show that these can go into MySQL. Please take all of our stuff. All we need you to do is agree to the Apache CLA, either iCLA or CCLA, depending on whether you is a corporation or individual. Anyway, publicly offer that. Like, join us in that. If everyone can use this same CLA, then all of our code can be contributed to the same code base. All the in-progress work can be shared between all of us freely with no concern about everybody's using the same CLA. Everybody's on the same goal. Everybody's on the same page. Anyone can work on any feature. Anyone can improve any feature. It can still be pushed upstream. Anyone in the community can collaborate on anything. And the massive duplication of effort that's out in the community now can largely be eliminated. In general, MySQL will get even more awesome. And that, we believe, is how this community can fully harness the true power of collaboration. Thank you.